Hey, what's happening, Miles? How you doing, bud?
Good, it is Friday.
You're so excited. Oh, dude, what time is it? What's the standard conversion time right now? You 5 hours ahead of me or 6 hours? I forget.
Yeah, 5 hours, so it's 11:01. But it's
does-
weird because
It does change,
people
right?
it's normally GMT because GMT is like the main clock through Greenwich, but because we're in the summer, we're actually at an hour ahead of GMT. So GMT is actually like technically the line through London, but we are now an hour ahead of that.
Okay. When do we switch to 6 hours difference soon? Is that after summer?
It's because we change up, we spring forward and spring back our clocks like 2 weeks apart or something. Because why do it at the same time when you can mess people about?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, speaking of messing about,
people got to get their money somehow.
Look, kids, Big Ben, dude. Let's start the show.
All right.
This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on PSVR Without Parole. If you're watching it live right now, you can tell because there's probably a little red circle somewhere. It says live. It's very possible you think you're watching this live and you're not. That's always the best part of my day when somebody's commenting along. And makes me giggle, man. Makes me giggle. If you don't like watching things live and you don't like looking at our pretty faces, we totally understand that too. You can always go over to any streaming service of your choice, podcast service of your choice, and download this thanks to Jamie, who uploads these fuckers pretty much the second that they're done. Also, I do want to apologize before we even get the show started. Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry had Wednesday's timestamps done like immediately after the show, but immediately after Wednesday's show, I stood up, walked away, and didn't come back until about 3 hours ago. So everyone was like, "Where's the timestamps?" And I was like, "Not his fault. That was my fault. I'm lazy." My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole, and this gentleman, proper British gentleman over here to my right, it's Miles Too Wise Dyer.
There was loads of versions I heard on my show on Wednesday when you popped in, which was Brian. I think it was like Brian and Miles, two eyes between two. I don't know. It just got really convoluted. Or one-eyed Brian. I don't know what they're playing at. I'm so confused. But two eyes die. Yeah, I'll take it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Miles. And we got Niles Ryan, the game feline, with a $5 tip in the chat that says, "Just a tip, I promise."
That's what. Oh wait, do I tell that joke?
I mean, I could count the number of times that I've heard that lie in my life. I don't.
It's
I
a
don't know
simple joke.
We don't want to take it any further than that, right? Like that.
It's what. It's the joke. What did the leper say to the prostitute? Keep the tip.
That was my pause for laughter, like they do on sitcoms. After somebody tells a joke, no one says anything for like an awkward 5 seconds. You ever seen when somebody like edits out all of the laughter from a sitcom?
That's what we've just done now because it was absolutely hilarious. But no, yeah, the friend when they do it with friends, it's really awkward.
Right, Ross seems like a psychopath, right? That's usually the title of those videos.
Sorry, guys, to start things off with such a terrible joke, but I blame Niles Ryan, the game feline.
I promise you the one thing, Miles, it's not going to get any better.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here. That is our promise. Our guarantee.
Guys, if you think humor like this is actually funny, then make sure you join our Discord. Click the link in the description below. That's where all the coolest cats hang out. We're very forgiving group, as you can tell, because not a lot of good humor going on around here, and we all just like politely nod and giggle at each other. Don't forget to also subscribe to Miles Dyer over on his channel, his YouTube channel. The link for that is in the description below, and also follow him over on Miles Dyer Official on Instagram. Anything interesting going on over there, man? Other than my horrendous guest appearance on your show this week?
Dude, it was awesome.
I showed up and I was like, what are we talking about? And then it's been 24 hours. I still don't know what we talked about.
Yeah, well, it was a great show. Lots of Game Cats showed up. It was a conversation about rebranding and like what I want to do for my live show going forward, because sometimes just things feel stale. Maybe the show itself doesn't, but kind of the planning process. And it got to a point where every Wednesday morning I'd be thinking, okay, what's it going to be about? And deciding what the thumbnail's going to be. And, I know that you'll say that you sometimes have those moments as well, because is it a slow news day and stuff like that? But at least it's in the vicinity of VR, PSVR. Whereas for me, sometimes it's a quiz, sometimes it's about mental health, sometimes it's about, less serious stuff. And so, we were just going sort of through ideas and like new formatting. And so you joined kindly, because that's one of the formats I want. I want to get guests on the show. And we had a bit of a conversation about the history of PSVR without Parole and GameCast Live, and sort of how things, evolve. And you made the great point, which is you make intentional decisions with different features you want on your show, but whether things stick or evolve, they're the things that are organically well received, and those are the things worth doing. So, it is just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. that is going to be the strategy. But Laser Game Cats showed up. Really appreciate the love, and we actually beat a new record on our weekly fun word game that we do, which is like a co-op thing. So if you want to tune in, it's 2 hours before Wednesday, GamesCast Live on Wednesday. Really, really good fun.
A few other housekeeping notes. Make sure if you don't support us on Patreon and you want to keep the lights on, make sure you head on to patreon.com/withoutparole and consider hooking us up with just $1 or more every single month. Remember, every single dollar counts. $3 or more, get your name on that list down below. It scrolls by like 1,700 times per episode, and we do this show 3 days a week, so you get to see your name go by quite a bit. That also gives you access to voice chat over on Discord, and for $5 more a month, we do it will be a couple exclusive episodes on Patreon every single month. I've been doing my monthly AMAs, and starting very, very soon, we'll be bringing back Why We Love, which is sort of the conversational podcast about an older PlayStation VR game. Talk about all the updates that it's had, and sort of says we figure out whether it's still worth your time after all these years. But Miles, I think you got to tell people about our newest social media page, because I know nothing about it.
Yeah, so I appreciate that not everyone uses this. LinkedIn, I have to admit, is something I've become more recently active in with my new job. But we've created a PSVR Without Parole LinkedIn page. So if you have a profile on that website, search PSVR Without Parole. It's also on the announcement section of the Discord. And just give us a follow. We aren't necessarily going to be posting a lot on there, but what it does mean is, when devs and game companies post stuff that relates to this show, they can at least tag us on it now, and that sort of gets circulated that way. It's just another platform that we're on. And the other thing I'm going to mention is we want you to hit that like button. I always have this like shadow in my head of like, oh, I'm going to be that guy. Hit that like button, smash that like button, just hit it, be nice to it, kindly press it. And I think that we should have a target for today's show, which is 120 likes, because we always hit 100 likes.
Okay.
But let's see, we're at 25 likes currently. If by the end of the show we can get to 120, we're just going to be very grateful. Is that a forfeit?
Does it help if I click the like button? Is that acceptable?
It does.
It does.
Okay. It does, and I'm going to press it now as well. So, no, it's not cheating. It all helps. All right. But I would say that if moderators throughout the show do just the occasional reminder, because people come and go, we appreciate it, because it also helps with the algorithm. Because when people hit the like button, it sends out this live show to more people that are subscribed. Because as we know, not everyone who subscribes gets it appearing in their feed. And lots of love in the chat. Love the love. Thank you.
A lot of great people here today. Thank you everybody for showing up. Hopefully you all had a great week, and are putting your feet up right now, enjoying this show with a glass of wine, maybe some pizza. If you're me, then a gallon of coffee, because that's what I require on a daily basis.
They do it by the gallon, yeah.
I mean, I brew it by the gallon. I have a very large coffee maker. I don't. Why? I don't. Maybe this is a topic for a different day. But I think I think they don't make a coffee maker for me. So many people are like, "Oh, you got to get the Keurig K cups and everything like that." And I was like, that makes like less than a cup of coffee. Here I am thinking like, how do I fill up milk jugs and just start stockpiling it in my refrigerator because I like cold coffee. But but I don't like watering it down with ice because then it's not concentrated enough. So I really I don't know, man. I just need a coffee maker in my refrigerator, I think.
Well, speaking of like portion sizes, when I come to drinking tea, I have all these regular size mugs, and then I have this massive Simpsons one that I think I got for my birthday like 20 years ago, and it still works. And it's like, yeah, when I have those mornings that I need a real boost and I don't have to keep going down and making more, big Simpsons mug with like a picture of Homer dunking a donut on the front. But yeah.
Marcusor is in the chat. He goes, French press, man. Dude, I used to work at a bistro. And man, I will tell you one thing about French presses. Everybody loves them, but cleaning them is a fucking bitch, man. It's like you get grinds just stuck to the glass. Like, I mean, unless you're cool with just pouring that shit down the drain, which maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that stuff gets stuck or, you know what? I think maybe we have some stuff to talk about that's non-caffeine related, Miles.
Potentially like PSVR, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to talk about a lot of PSVR stuff. We're going to talk about that new Stride update that's coming along. We're going to talk about PSVR2 on PC, and of course, London Studios' new games as a service IP that just sort of got leaked today. Not completely leaked, partially leaked. A little bit of not a leak, but a topic of conversation during a time where there's not a lot of topic of conversation. But first, we're going to talk about that extended play sale that ends on May 25th. There was going to be, I was going to do a video devoted to this. I was kind of like plugging away at it all week. And then I looked at the date today and I was like, by the time I get this thing done, it's only going to be relevant for like 4 days. And so I was like, let's just talk about it on GamesCast. Let's just make sure that everybody has a few good recommendations in case they're, in case they're looking for maybe some hidden gems they missed out on. Miles, looking at this list, there's a lot of different games on it. I think there's like 35 or so different games that are currently on sale until May 25th. Are there any that jump out at you as something that maybe could have gotten past the average bear?
I have to say, every time a sale comes out, it just reminds me how much I've supported the VR space in terms of how many I own, which is a good thing. Like, I look down the list and I'm just like, oh yeah, I've already bought that already. But yeah, looking down this list, I mean, there were some things that I haven't played yet. We spoke just before we went on air about the Pinball FX2 VR. There's like 2 DLCs. You've got the Walking Dead and the Universal Classics Pinball, but they are just the DLCs. They're not the full game. So you made the great point that if you think it's going to be a game you want to play with those DLCs, get the DLCs. I assume you can buy DLCs without the original game. I don't know. PlayStation lets you do that, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you can buy them. Obviously, just no way to access them, but it'll pop up once you purchased the full game.
I'm always looking for a real cheap deal, and Horror Adventure VR is $1.49. Has it got a platinum trophy though?
I don't believe so. I'll have to check that out because.
Okay, forget that recommendation. Not worth it. Not worth it at all.
Now I got to look it up. because if it has one, I might have to go back and get it. Let's see. No, that's right. It has 4 trophies.
4 trophies.
4 trophies. Past the first section. Experienced the main ghost. I've played this game 3 times now. I don't know what the main ghost is. Seeker, which is collected the camera, which by the way does nothing. You can't take pictures with it. And then expert. It's called expert. But all you have to do is complete the game, the game is 45 minutes long. So you can 100% this game
oh my goodness.
Very easily. However, only 9.4% of the people who have played it have the trophy because everyone else noped out about 5 minutes into it.
Oh, that's fair. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, the other game on this list is Bloody Zombies. I hear this mentioned again and again. That's an End Dreams game, isn't it? Which is the sort of Streets of Rage. And all I've heard again and again is when you see it like advertised, you're like, yeah, it's still like a flat screen game just in VR, but the depth you get from playing it in VR is an experience that is kind of hard to put your finger on. So actually, that might be one I pick up myself.
Yeah, it's published by Endreams, developed by, I want to say, Paw Print Studio, something like that. Not somebody I was familiar with. But yeah, it's you can play it in non VR, and it's very, 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 like, just looks like one of those, kind of throwaway 2D flash animation type games. And then you put the headset on, and you're like, oh wow, this does really look kind of cool in VR. So yeah, and you can play, I think, 4-player multiplayer online.
Awesome.
No voice chat supported though, so make sure you team up with some friends so you can talk to them while you play.
The last one I'd say is Space Junkies for $99. I mean, that game is just brilliant, and it's been mentioned on the show before in other conversations that it's a shame more people don't play it because it really is a great experience.
Agreed, and hopefully maybe we can. Maybe we can give this game a second chance, either in our community or, as the Ubisoft Plus Classics or whatever the hell that deal is, kind of brings this game to more people. Hopefully it gets a second chance and we can give it a little bit more love. The only one I'm going to go to bat for, really, I mean, there's so many games in this, but I think you've covered some really good ones, is Ghost Giant, which is like less than $9 on sale. I want to say... does this tell us how much it was initially? Yes, it was $25, and it's on sale for $8.74. It's just one of those games that you really don't forget about once you've played. It's like Moss. You are like kind of looking down at this diorama type world, and also like Moss, you are a physical being. You're a presence. You're the ghost giant, and you can interact with these worlds in the way that the little characters on screen can't. And I think there's actually cooler interactions in Ghost Giant than there is in Moss. Moss just has kind of like opening doors and pulling things. This is like you're ripping like roofs off of houses and stuff and peering in to see what's inside. And so I think that's actually implemented very well. The story is told just beautifully. It looks like Animal Crossing. But if all the characters in Animal Crossing were like suffering real life issues, and we're dealing with real life issues, and it actually becomes a pretty serious game, even though it's super cute, and it's just one of those stories you don't forget after you've played. It's really good stuff.
Great pick, Brian. Yeah, agreed. Definitely, if you've not experienced it, definitely give it a go. And I was someone that went into it assuming, like many people, it looks like a Moss game, and that's the unfortunate thing when you have a platform that's still new. That as soon as one game does something and another game does something similar, it's like you make that comparison, but it's like no, it's a type of game in the VR space, and Moss has great story, but this is on a much deeper level. And as you say, the interactions in it, I agree. I think. But I think obviously Moss is more the action based of controlling Quill, whereas in as far as I remember in Ghost Giant, it's more about your interactions with the environment.
For sure.
As the character, yeah.
It's funny you bring that up because, you definitely look at this game and go, oh, it's a Moss clone. But I can't wait to fast forward 10 years or so and have this sort of be its own genre in VR. Like back in the day, after Doom came out, any first-person shooter that came out on like PlayStation or PC or whatever, like Electronic Gaming Monthly or Computer Gaming World, all those rags would just call it a Doom clone. Like, oh, here's another Doom clone. Here's another Doom clone. And then eventually it just became first-person shooter. Like, it became one of the most popular genres of all time. But like back then, they'd kind of like shit on them and call them just another Doom clone.
Yeah.
So
it happens across all mediums. I think of got quite a few female friends that are singers in bands, and it's getting less and less now. But it used to be, oh, you sound like Paramore. Like any rock band with a female vocalist, it was, oh, you're just a Paramore wannabe band.
Wow.
It's like, and it was just because Paramore was one of the first to really, go out front. And then so whenever you have these sort of like people that pave the way, they get compared to as, and for some reason there's this toxic culture of, instead of saying, we've got more female fronted bands, which is great, or we've got more first-person shooters, it's always seen as a kind of negative connotation. But hopefully we're getting better about that in mainstream pop culture.
Interesting to see that we're sort of around for the birth of a new genre, right? And we've all sort of been like, oh yeah, it's really cool. But like but then we play a game like was Along Together, which again is very similar. You're a presence, you're this big being in first person, but you also play a game in third person as with those characters, and people have to compare it to Moss now just because of the way it's presented, and it's like it screams Doom clone, Doom clone, Doom clone. It's like no, these games do have their own merits and their own right to exist, and it's just cool that we're here for the birth of this new genre, and it's almost like we didn't notice. It happened and we were just like, oh yeah, crazy. But in 10 years from now, we could have hundreds of these games. Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, man. Enough talking about the sale. Don't forget, it ends in just 5 days. So if there's anything you want on it, make sure you check it out. It's the extended play sale, ends on the 25th. And by the way, the reason I'm not doing sale videos are the worst, by the way. They're so draining, and they're the most boring things to edit up on the face of the planet. So I promised myself that because there's a days of play sale happening on the 25th. So the second this sale ends, a new sale begins. I'm definitely going to do a video for that. And I have a bad feeling. There's going to be 100 games in that sale. I just know it. So I'm trying to prep myself.
Wait until there's the pre PSVR2 sale.
Yeah.
That's just everything.
We usually get one of those once a year, and right around October or so.
Right.
It's this birthday sale, anniversary sale, and it's torturous. It's great for the gamers because there's so many games that you never even heard of for $2, and you're like, oh, but that's a good one, right? And but for me, I'm like, this is gonna take a while.
Yeah. Something we forgot to mention right from the top of the show, I forgot to mention in the housekeeping section is, not everyone gets to watch this show live. So if you are watching it on replay, do leave your thoughts in the comment section. And in the context of the sale, if, you go away and you get a new game this weekend and you've never played it before, let us know your thoughts in the comments, because Brian and I do check back in the comments, and we're going to make a concerted effort that over the weekend we will do our best to respond to as many comments from the Friday show as possible. So yeah, if you try out a game, let us know what you think. Tell us your own recommendations.
Yeah, and this should go without saying, so I can't believe I'm even sitting up here right now and saying it. But be nice to everybody in the comments. There's going to be people who don't have the same opinion of us as we do. It's you're a hardcore PSVR gamer and you don't like Quest, you don't like PC or whatever it is. Whatever, we're always going to have a difference of opinions, and I feel fortunate when those people come by, because it's it means that we're sort of expanding our viewership a little bit to people who are either curious about PSVR, they're here because they're waiting for PSVR2, people who don't have a PSVR headset anymore but just like the show still. I get those comments all the time, which I'm shocked about. They're like, oh, I don't have a headset, but I like hanging out with you guys. So just keep in mind that everybody's got different opinions. I did get a message on Twitter from somebody the other day saying that they felt like they were attacked in the comments, and I never want anybody to come here. We're a very open and accepting and a loving community. That's sort of more important than PSVR for me, that everybody feels like they're loved and accepted here. So please just remember that's sort of what being a game cat's all about. That's all.
Yeah, I would say the first rule when you engage in comments is assume that the people you're responding to come with good intentions. Don't make it personal. And also, this might sound silly, use emojis. Because we don't have tone of voice in the way we type messages, and they often can come across a lot colder. So just having a smiley face, I use them a lot in text and stuff like that. It makes a huge difference. So let's just keep this this great warm fuzzy spirit alive.
But let's move on to our very next topic, and that's the beloved game. It actually hit the sales chart this past month. Stride from Joyway is getting a decently sized update. Now, let's get the bad part out of the way first. They haven't announced the plans for it to come to PSVR, but the good thing is that when they talked about it on Twitter today, they did say, hey, what was the exact words they said? The update is currently only available on Steam and MetaQuest. I emailed them. I already saw people reach out to them on Twitter and saying, when is it coming to PSVR? I can guarantee you it is coming to PSVR, because we also know the campaign is still coming to PSVR, so it's not like they're not going to do this update, but they're going to do the other update. So please don't worry about it. We just don't know when it's coming out. It's on the other platforms already. But Miles, did you play Stride?
I haven't had a chance yet. So I do really want to, because I was a big fan of Mirror's Edge, and to have this VR style game. See, already we were talking about comparisons of like, everything that's a runner game now is a Mirror's Edge ripoff. I'm not saying that, but like I am a fan. I am a fan of these.
Well, when the art style, when you're doing the exact same thing and the art style is identical, I'm okay to say maybe. Yeah. Maybe you took some severe influence from
But that's what I love about VR is if the original creators of these games aren't going to do a VR version, let the indie developers fly with it. Brilliant. More power to them. But yeah, no, this is definitely one I want to give a go.
So I was a little concerned because I'm not really like a time trial guy. I'm not like the guy who's going to love these arcade modes where you're just trying to beat time trials or finish in a certain amount of time or beat some other times on the leaderboard. When I play Beat Saber, I just try to beat my own time and try to finish the song. So for a game like this, I was like, I'm probably not going to like this without the campaign, and I was dead wrong. Like, I love this game so much. I had so much fun with this, and so the more they add to it, the more I'm just going to love it. And so what they're don't mind me.
What were you saying, Brian?
Saying everybody should have a cat because they don't do anything fucked up ever. What was that? Like, Tornado just attacked me while she
Tornado, not like Stride.
She hates Stride.
Yeah.
She was she just tried to climb up the chair and accidentally grabbed me on her way up, apparently.
I've just watched you on the live stream. It's amazing. Can someone make that a GIF? Make that a GIF, please.
God damn! Come here. I'm gonna make you snuggle with me now. She's not having it. I think she does not.
Yeah, don't reward her for that.
Yeah, she doesn't know.
She should do it more.
Oh, she's a good girl. All right. So what this update will add? I'm like kind of freaking out right now. What are you doing? So it adds the urban environment from the third game mode into the time trials. It allows you to do ghost runs, so you can race against yourself, your former times. You can actually see yourself, not yourself. It's like kind of a glowing ball, but I'll fucking take it. So being able to do the ghost runs looks cool. And they said on Twitter that this is not the big update that they had been teasing last month. So when the price went up from $15 to $20. They were saying, well, there's a reason, and that reason is coming. This is not the reason. So it seems like that campaign we may be hearing about, hopefully sooner rather than later. I'm excited. We're gonna have to get you playing some Stride.
Yeah, for sure. What other games do you think best give? Sorry, what other PSVR games do you feel are good for people that like Stride? Want to experience that? Because straight away I think of To the Top. Mm-hmm. I love that traversal. I've had so much fun with that, and the times I've managed to have multiplayer games, I've really loved. Also, Rec Room. We didn't talk about what we've been playing this week. I've actually jumped back into Rec Room, and I've been really enjoying it. The Among Us, they have an Alien Isolation mod, which scared the hell out of me. Just not what I expected in Rec Room. But the Rec Room, like wall climbing, I just love all those maps. Like you climb these ridiculously. There was like one mountain that took me and a friend, I think, half an hour to get at the top. And then at the very end, you've actually got to swing to grab this other part of the mountain that's like there's a massive gap. And I fell to the bottom after half an hour. My mate made it. There was a real sense of challenge and sadness in my case. But also they have the great sort of Ninja Warrior style maps on Rec Room as well. So yeah, I think To the Top and Rec Room are two recommendations. Are there any that I'm missing?
To the Top is a great one. I mean, one of the great feelings that you get in Stride is the sense of height, and you don't want to fall because if you're like me and you're scared of heights, that's one of the many reasons you don't want to fall. You also don't want to lose, or like if you have a good run going, you don't want to screw it up. But I think Windlands is another good one where you're doing the constant grappling. But there's just nothing quite like Stride because you are grabbing onto every ledge, you're doing the wall runs. It feels like the best parts of everything, and kind of put together so well. I really, really hope we see this on PSVR2 because the frame rate is definitely jittery when you climb up a ledge. And what was the other thing? Oh, it's the resolution could certainly be improved. Things that aren't things you're going to notice while you're playing, but would still improve the overall immersion if they were fixed. So Yeah. Hopefully we'll see this one on PSVR2 or maybe even get a pro update or something. We'll see. Let's get a couple tips done. We got Twitcher, the single player game cat, rare with the £2 says, this one's for Rhodey. I totally missed a conversation here in the chat. I don't know.
That was all about the emojis. I said use emojis. Then everyone in the chat started using emojis. And I will challenge again now. Everyone watching, what is your favorite emoji? Bring it.
Nice. I like anyone that looks like a face palm. Because I feel like I'm constantly face palming with people.
Have you seen the new emojis they've released? I don't know if it's just iOS, but there's like a melting smiley, like just melting into the floor that I love.
No. Yeah, I have to look that up. We got super cool video, bro, with the $10 tip says not to derail. Dude, we fucking love derailing. Just stopping in. Feel free to save for later. Oh, it's too late now, man. We're in for a penny. We're in for a pound. If Metal Gear Solid VR is real, would you like a toggle like in Halo Remastered to swap from the original in new graphics? Also, Cyberpunk or Red Dead Redemption 2 port. He gave us $10, man. So we do need to derail the show to talk about this. I'm curious though. Metal Gear Solid VR, if it's real, would you like to be able to? Because I do love doing this. I'm a huge fan of anytime somebody remasters something, like when Secret of Monkey Island got remastered or Full Throttle, like. Or even like I think Wonder Boy or Monster World or whatever with those games, you're able to hit the select button and switch between like seamlessly between the old version of the game and the current version of the game. And I stop every 5 seconds and do it constantly. So to be able to do that in VR, if you were like playing Metal Gear Solid, like a complete remake of Metal Gear Solid in VR, and you could just like tap a button on your Sense controller and suddenly you're in a PS1 game, dude, I would be doing that constantly.
Do you know something I never did with the Doom VFR was I believe you can, like in the main Doom game, you can unlock the classic maps.
Yeah.
But I don't think I actually did that in the VR version. But yeah, playing classic Doom in VR, man, I'm just like surprised they've not done that. To be honest, I think if Doom Eternal had a VR component, which they didn't want to focus on, I think they would have done it, because in Doom Eternal, you can actually unlock on a computer, spoilers, the original Doom game, or Doom 2, which is crazy when you think about it. Like, once upon a time, that was a game, like a best-selling game in the world that, everyone had to install on their computers. It's like, oh yeah, in the future, there's going to be a game that is going to be hundreds times the size, and it's going to have this game in it as kind of a little bit of bonus content. But I think that's what the metaverse is going to become, when we talk about, the shared realities and having maybe you can have an arcade machine in your home space, and then you can have classic.
What they're really going to do is they're going to microtransaction the fuck out of the metaverse, and you can walk down to an arcade with your friends, and every time you play it, it charges you 25 cents.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Cyberpunk or Red Dead Redemption 2 for a VR port, PSVR2 port?
So I started playing Cyberpunk when it was, you had the 6-hour trial a few months ago, and then I got Horizon, so I switched to that, and now I'm going to Elden Ring. Cyberpunk, I have to admit, it's cool, but the world doesn't feel, I don't feel immersed in it. Red Dead was the other option you said. It'd be Red Dead. I want to do horse riding in VR.
Skyrim.
Yeah, I need to. That's one of the first games I got for VR, and I said, this is such a big game, I'm going to come back to it, and I never did. So yeah. But there'll be a PSVR2 version, or maybe not.
maybe depending on what this whole Bethesda acquisition is all about.
To be honest, I think because Skyrim is a legacy game, I think they would do that. But then again, it's that weird thing of, but why would they do something that's only going to be for PlayStation? Or, but they did it with Minecraft.
They did for Minecraft, yeah. So anything's possible. I'm going to go with Cyberpunk because that's just more my kind of world. I like that whole dystopian future deal. In all fairness, if you gave me the option for Fallout, I would have chosen that over either one. Fallout 3 and 4, I think, are just phenomenal. But Cyberpunk is even it's a living, breathing world, right? The bombs haven't fallen. It's just fucking chaos. And so Cyberpunk,
for me, Los Santos is like the dream to go around that world. Because the thing about Los Santos is, for a game that is 10 years old, even when it first came out, the detail in those maps of like every alleyway and like the posters on the wall or, you know, stuff on the brickwork, it's so deep. And I think that's something we appreciate in more recent years around open world games. Is open world isn't just about size; it's about, you know, what is going on within it, which is something that's blown my mind a lot about Elden Ring at the moment. That just every inch of that map, you're just like, wow, what's around here? And like, you know, it's just a constant sense of exploration. It's not like there's something here, then there's loads and loads of space, and then there's something. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2, although there's a lot of just space, the journey of going from one place to another and going through the fields and trees, it feels like a real journey, and like it's amazing for that reason too.
So the answer is we want it all in VR. I mean,
yeah, we do. That is it. Give it to us. Give it all. We want it all.
Aceville 5 Frame Cat with a $2 tip says, this one's for Twitcher and Rhodey. And he sent the cat emoji. Again, I'm really... I'll have to go back and read the chat after the fact. We got Don Can94 with the 2 Cheeto fries. That's what I'm going to go. I don't know what CHF is, but we're going to go with Cheeto fries. Grub's new rumor says PSVR2 event around the E3. Hype. Yeah. I mean, God, I mean, it's sad when the only thing you can get excited about is rumors because Sony's not saying really jack shit right now about anything. And so we kind of have to just go, okay, well, it's another rumor. Yay. You know,
I will say though that this is like a bit of a weird comfort because obviously we'd rather just know stuff. Sony hasn't just been mysterious about PSVR2. They have all these first-party studios that have been working on stuff. The rumoured The Last of Us remake of the first one, more rumours have come out this week that it's probably going to come out before the end of the year. It's like the worst-kept secret, and yet there's been no announcement of it. We spoke about this last Friday, and I'm doubling down on my prediction. I don't think we're going to get a state of play or anything in June or July. Around PSVR2. I think it's happening in September. I just do.
You don't even think it'll be included in an event next month or the one after? Really?
No.
Okay.
They might tease small components, but I think
I will bet you one large pizza
that it's going to be next month or in the next.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even say by the end of June. I won't even go into July because I have a hunch it could be very, very soon. So I would say by the end of June, I will bet you one large pizza, my friend, and you will say nothing till September. How about that?
All right. I'll shake on it. That is not awkward.
Also, I use my left hand. I don't think that... yeah.
To be honest, I'm not a betting person either. I'll happily do a gentleman's bet. Like, okay. Yeah, let's bet on it.
That works. Yeah, gentlemen's bet.
We'll just eat pizza. We'll just eat pizza regardless.
We'll both eat pizza on a Friday show whenever one of us wins the bet. It doesn't.
We will decide. Yeah, whenever the event is, and if we're all gonna, I've just watched the replay of us shaking hands. That's gonna be clipped and turned into a GIF.
God, I'm so glad I used my left hand then.
But yeah, no. When the showcase is done, if we do a live stream, then we just say everyone bring pizza, and we'll make it a pizza party as well. It'd be great.
There we go. Oh, Game Cat pizza party. Yes. All right, it's gonna be great, guys. It's gonna be great. I'm so excited. We'll do a big event too. Like it won't be like just our GAMESCAST now, man. We'll make a big event when PSVR2 happens. We'll all hang out for a long time, and it'll be fun. Scott Jessica, PSN Harry Fell, PSVR Game Cat for Life. Right says Brian knows something, but what? That's an excellent question, Scott Jessica.
That we're getting pizza. Man.
Brian knows that we're getting pizza big time. Dude, we are so behind schedule per usual. So let's move on to our next news story, which is oh, here it is. London studio. There's a job listing out there over on PlayStationLondonStudio.com that sort of gave up the ghost about their newest IP that they've been working on for the last couple of years. I'm actually going to bring up the Reset Era article, if you're okay with that. Because this is sort of a Reset Era is sort of like whoever posted this on Reset Era sort of summarizes it way better. So let's do that. There it is. All right. So let me bring this up here. Don't mind me. I'm just going to read it out loud. Hopefully I can see it because this is really tiny on my screen. It says Sony London has been open about developing an online game for some time now, but this newly found open job opening sheds more light on it being a fantasy-based new IP. And then it says, it kind of links to that job listing for a narrative design lead, a permanent position at London Studio. Luckily, who is this? Motiz. Thank you, Motiz, so much for clipping all this out and posting this and making my life easy. The job listing includes a passion for both making and playing magic-based games where great gameplay is supported with fascinating fantasy world building. And then Motiz says other points in the same job opening highlights a campaign, side quest, games as service approach with years of ongoing story set up by the lore. Overall, it sounds to me like it's intended to be a co-op game in the vein of Destiny or The Division in a fantasy setting. And then there's like 4 more bullet points here. Creation of initial campaign to introduce the world and characters, then ongoing campaign to develop the narrative and introduce new content. Objectives and story beats for side quests and missions. Development of an intriguing backstory and world lore, which sets up years of ongoing story. They're really doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on this years of content. And then finally, an excellent understanding of non-linear narrative systems and how to deliver story in an ongoing or games as a service game. Miles, this brings up so many questions. Now, let's be fair here. None of this says VR.
No, it doesn't.
Right. What's the likelihood that the team behind The Getaway, which obviously wasn't a VR game, but I just fucking love PS2 games, but The London Heist and Blood and Truth, what's the likelihood that this studio isn't making this VR compatible? Like, what do you think it's going to be a hybrid game? Do you think it's going to be a flat screen only game, PSVR2 only game? Where do you think they're at with this?
It's been really interesting listening to your conversations with AJ and with Wes this week around, once again, the talk about hybrid games. Like, if Sony really does lean into this with, we just want all our games to be playable in both, then yeah, there's no doubt. But this also makes me think about all the brilliant indie game developers for PSVR. Zenith, that was made with such a small team. I hate to say it for them, but it's like AAA must be like, we have budget, we could do this and upgrade it with the story. To see the success of that, they must be aware of the opportunity. So yeah, I mean, I'd love there to be a VR of this. So we will have to wait and see. It's just the hybrid strategy. It's seeing to what extent Sony lean into it, and I hope they go full throttle because yeah, it's a great opportunity, especially with the power not just of what this new headset's going to offer, but of the PS5 console that it's made for.
Yeah, I do want to. Somebody in the chat just pointed out that the second batch of Swordsman VR physical editions went live on UnlimitedRun.com.
Nice.
So if you missed out this morning at 10 a.m., when there's only 1,500 copies of them. If you missed out this morning, then the second batch is available now. I just checked.
Did they sell out then, the first batch?
I think they just stopped selling them at a certain time. So
right,
and then whatever's left goes on sale at 6 p.m.
Gotcha.
It's maybe a little bit telling that it's 40. The second batch has been on sale for 44 minutes. I just checked, and they're still available. PSVR games not selling amazingly well over unlimited run games. However, the things that become valuable are always the things that nobody wanted at launch, right? And then eventually people, find interest in later. And so with only 1,500 copies out there, if you're even remotely interested, go get it. limitedrungames.com.
AJ just linked it in the chat. Nice one, AJ.
Thank you, AJ. Appreciate that. I bought mine this morning, and sadly, I was like, well, since I'm here, I guess I'll buy Sam and Max VR as well. And I was so like, I was like actually like kind of sad about it. Like I was like, oh, they got another $35 out of me just because I didn't want to pay 2 shipping charges. I was like, I didn't want to buy it. I don't like that. I don't like Sam and Max VR, and I just bought it to have it as part of the collection. And because I mean, like my whole life is PSVR. How can I not have? I don't know. I guess I could have done without it. Oh, I'm so angry at myself. Anyway, now that you guys know a
Let
little
it
bit
go.
about my obsessive compulsive disorder, let's get back to this. I get so many thoughts about this, man. And one of the first things is, do you think, does Sony need their own fantasy IP? Like, because obviously there's a lot of fantasy games out there, but with all these studios being bought up, I feel like nothing is certain anymore. Where I think Sony's sort of looking toward this future where like they have to produce first party games because third party studios are getting bought up by Microsoft or whoever else, and eventually they sort of have to prepare for this inevitable future where they don't have their own Skyrim, right? Where they don't have something along those lines, where they don't have crap. I was thinking Mass Effect, which is like sci-fi. Dragon Age. That's what I was trying to think of. BioWare. Like where one day BioWare gets like purchased by Microsoft or something along those lines, and they suddenly don't have access to those games anymore. People buying a PlayStation don't have those games, so they need something on their platform. Like, but because we're not, that day hasn't come yet. Like, is this just going to be one more fantasy game in a slew of fantasy games? Like, do we need this?
Well, for me, it's Sony have been very clear that they are trying to nail the multiplayer area of their game offerings from first parties, because they look at the success of Fortnite, Destiny. Sony have always been known for their single player narrative storytelling experiences. You've got Naughty Dog that was going to be doing their Factions multiplayer game for The Last of Us Part 2, which then got put on hold, and now it's coming out as its own game, which, by the way, I cannot wait for. And if Factions was a VR game, that's going to be mind-blowing, because Last of Us Factions was just such a cool concept. Yeah. So you've got that. Sony have also acquired Bungie, and one of the great reasons for doing that is Bungie have spent a decade of trial and error with Destiny. I've had a very much a love-hate relationship with Destiny. A lot I love about it, a lot that frustrated me. But you know what? Bungie have really stuck at it, and they've taken a real data-driven approach to constantly innovate. And they've, gone out there ahead of what many others would have given up with much sooner in the development cycle. And so for Sony to bring them on board now, they are able to say to their first parties, look, let's make something new. And so when it comes to the question about fantasy games, when you think of like VR, VR is about role playing and, getting into character. And once again, when you look at stuff like Zenith, that is a really great opportunity. And you look at World of Warcraft and things like that. And so, yeah, I do think, and Destiny in many ways is kind of a fantasy game. It's sci-fi, but you've got class-based systems, RPG. So I just think it's all of these elements coming together. Because when the PS5 came out, they had Destruction All-Stars, which was a first-party game, which I was looking forward to. It was unfortunately a huge disappointment. And then when they did it sort of free to play, and then they did like the in-game currency, it was just pretty abysmal. You paid for currency, which you then spent to unlock campaigns, and then when you completed the campaigns, you didn't get any currency back, so you had to spend more money to unlock future campaigns. And the last thing I would say is Epic Games, who Sony have also been funding a lot of money into, Epic Games have mastered the battle pass. They've done it with Fortnite, they've done it with mobile games. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think Epic Games, they bought Rocket League, and then you saw, and Rocket League had been a game out for many, many years with their own kind of what's it called? Not transactions, but you can purchase cosmetics and that. But they've now got a really great battle pass. And I think Epic Games, they bought Fall Guys, and again, really good battle pass. They've all got their own takes on it, but Epic Games really knows the platform well, and they've totally nailed it. And so I just think this combination, Sony is looking at, what have Bungie learned with, games as a service, looking at what, and they've probably had conversations with Square Enix, who worked on Marvel Avengers, which had questionable launch and constant support. And then you look at what their relationship is with Epic Games and the Unreal technology and things like that. So yeah, this makes me incredibly excited.
Yeah, this makes me excited too, because I do look at the stable of PlayStation first-party games, first-party studios, and seeing kind of what their expertise is, and say, this is, you look at like Days Gone and The Last of Us and Uncharted and even Horizon, and they all sort of have like this similar like third-person action game motif going on, whereas these guys have proven that they can do first-person stuff very well. They're obviously very proficient with PlayStation VR, and so if they're doing a hybrid game, then this is amazing. It could be a first-person fantasy game that would really differentiate itself from everything else that Sony has going on right now. And as you said, with the acquisition of Bungie, it's fairly well known that first party Sony studios work together really well. Like, I mean, they even share engines to that extent,
it,
right? And so when you look at Sony wanting to expand their roster of games to include what did they say they want like 10 games of service games in the next few years, something along those lines. Here we go, right? And you can say what you want about games of service, but you look at the Destiny user base, and if they can have multiple games that are as successful as Destiny, where people keep coming back to it over and over with every new content update, everybody I know that plays Destiny, it's like a religion. They've got their clan, they've got their group, they've got these people they play with, and they spend hours in it every single time they drop in. And that to me, if you can have something made by a London studio that's exclusive to your platform, like then PlayStation becomes a much more desirable place to be. Right now you can play Destiny anywhere, but where are you going to be able to play this London studio game? Only on PlayStation 5.
Yeah, we're in this attention economy. It's how do you keep people in your games the longest? And multiplayer has always been seen as the way you do that, because multiplayer games have an unknown quantity to the gaming experience. When you have a single player game, you have AI, they work in a certain way, you learn the mechanics, and that's it. In multiplayer, if it's competitive, you're playing against other players that are improving with the game as you. So there's constantly a sense of, you can tell the difference between fighting AI and fighting humans. So that is one way of keeping you within a world. To add on top of it, you have an experience where you can then get cosmetics. And we've spoken about this before, like, Beat Saber needs more cosmetics for your character. Like, people like cosmetics. I spent so much money over the years on Fortnite, not so much anymore, on just getting custom stuff for my character. And it's like, well, why if it doesn't change how the game plays? But it's cool creating your digital identity, because there's some clout with it, especially if you've bought something that's maybe expensive or you've unlocked something that required a certain skill. But when you're in VR and you're wearing those cosmetics yourself, that's got an even greater sense of association and identity. And so, games as a service is just the best option Sony has of keeping people within their ecosystem.
Yeah, agreed. And I do want to say, we could probably talk about this particular topic, whether it be games as a service or even like this new IP specifically. I feel like we could have talked about this for an hour alone, but I think from a weirdly personal standpoint, I see a studio like this, who has, as I already mentioned, goes all the way back to the PS2 era, making a very specific type of game with the Getaway. And then the Getaway, was it Black Monday, fucking forgot what the Getaway sequel was called. Doesn't matter. They made 2 Getaway games. They made the London Heist. They made Blood and Truth, and they've all got this, like, people always associate it with like this Guy Ritchie movie type thing, right? Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Like
Right.
They're always making this same kind of game, and to me, it's almost like they finally were like, can we please do something else, please? Like, let us let us come out from behind this like typecast role and make something that we're passionate about, because we've been doing the same thing for fucking 20 years, Sony. Can we please do something else? And Sony's a laid back company, right? Like, shockingly, when it comes to studios, they go, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, let's see how it goes. Like, that's the word we've gotten about Sony studios all the time. The studios get to make what they're passionate about, and Sony really kind of leaves them alone, which is really cool. And so I'm like, these guys finally get to make something different. And I'm sure if you look at London Studios portfolio and you see all the games that they've really made over the years, there's a lot more diversity than what I just listed. but still, like those are the games that I associate with them, and so maybe they'd like to be associated for something slightly different. So,
Yeah,
it'd be fun. It'd be really fun. And of course, typical without Parole. Here we are when the show's supposed to be ending. We're just getting to the main topic. So
this is what we always say, though, is like you really can have a really meaty discussion around small stories because they're sort of an entry point into a wider discussion of state of play with the platforms. So yeah,
right.
But here we are.
So obviously the topic of the conversation or topic of the show today is PSVR2 and basically PSVR2 on PCs. Like what are the pros, what are the cons? And as you guys know, you can use PlayStation VR 1 on PCs already, right? Like that's been a thing for a long time now, which I think it's called Trinus. I always said Trinius, but I was always adding an extra I in there, so I think it's Trinus. But we're talking something more official. Like, are there any benefits to Sony making PlayStation VR 2 out of the box compatible with PC? And I think that lends itself to a much different conversation than what are the modders going to do with it once they get their hands on it, right? That's a dramatically different conversation. So that's not the conversation we're having today. We're saying, should Sony make it out of the box compatible with PC? Miles, what are your thoughts on this just out of the box?
I mean, this has been one of my main predictions for PSVR 2 is I think, not with certainty, but I think there's a greater than 50% chance, I'm sort of more in the more likely than less likely camp, that PSVR 2 is going to be compatible with on PC. And that is just because they've already set up their PlayStation PC company. They've obviously been having ports of their first party games over onto PC. And the success of this headset is all based on availability. And that comes down to the bottlenecks. And the bottleneck at the moment is how many people have PlayStation 5s and how many more can they get. A part of me felt there could be issues like if you've got haptic feedback, is that something that you would be able to still, replicate on PC? But then I've been told that you can use the DualSense controller on the PC and the haptics work. Although I'm trying to think, actually, have all PlayStation games on PC they've been from PlayStation 4, or have any PlayStation 5 games gone to PC yet?
I don't believe so because it tends to be much older games. They're usually it's like, oh, we put out this game 5 years ago and you can have it now, PC game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it's Death Stranding, the original God of War reboot, Horizon, the original Horizon, and all of those games I believe are 5-ish years old or so. Man, how long ago did Death Stranding come out? That doesn't seem like 5 years ago. Maybe that was more recent.
It was literally just before the pandemic because that was the sort of the sad irony.
So 17 years ago then.
Yeah, because everyone was like, Death Stranding, it's about connecting people that are living in isolation from each other and everyone's getting stuff delivered. That doesn't sound realistic. Cue COVID pandemic.
Right. No, good point. So I mean, you're looking at the bottleneck of being PlayStation 5s, right? And saying that you can only sell as many as the audience on PlayStation 5. And I get that because the number one, in the plus column that I had listed, the number one thing I come up with was you get to sell more of your headsets, right? But for every plus there's a minus, right? And so I think the thing that directly negates that is that the best part about selling hardware for any hardware manufacturer is that you don't really make money on the hardware, but you make a lot of money off the games you sell for that hardware, right? PlayStation 5s are being sold. I mean, I don't know if it's at a loss or if they're breaking even or what the deal is, but if they're making a profit, it's a very, very, very small profit on each one. And they're making 30% profit on every single game that's sold on the PlayStation Store. So currently, you look over on the PC And it's mostly what the Epic Game Store and Steam. Those are the two main places you get games right now. So if there are,
but my thought is if they release the headset for PC, you would have to get the PlayStation launcher. So it's going to be their own game launcher. So by the way, as we have this conversation, I think I'm going to talk myself out of thinking it's coming to PC because, you know, this is what happens when you have conversations. You think about it more. And, you know, I just get this. I get the sense it would be a good strategy for them, but I also know Sony does come across as very conservative and they don't seem to make many bold. Do you know what I mean? Like when you look at the new PlayStation Plus offerings, they always seem to be doing it. Anything they do seems like it's done reluctantly. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I've never seen them.
Like you wanted backwards compatibility? Oh, here you go.
Right.
That's not what we wanted, Sony. That we were asking for backwards compatibility. We weren't asking to pay $120 a year to play some PSP games. It's frustrating.
Although they have said that if you own it already,
like their mentality.
Yeah, they have said though. I think if you own the games already, you will get them. But...
So I can go to my wall of PSP games and shove it into my PS5.
No,
I know what you're saying. Digital.
Yeah, you're right though. They got to be digital. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
you know. So okay. Well, if I bought it on PS3, huzzah. So again, it's not even done in a way that like. I mean, I don't know. We don't need to go any deeper on this conversation because I think everyone out there knows my stance on backwards compatibility and all of that. I want it, but I just never get it the way that I want it. And so.
But how do you feel with the battleground, Brian? Of like, we look at quests, we look at all the PSVR. Like, if Sony does want to compete with them, where is the battleground? Because is it just saying, well, you got to get a PlayStation 5 and this, and we've got all these first-party games which are really great that you can only play on PlayStation 5, or do they go on their turf? I know Quest is technically its own thing. But it's kind of like you PC gamers who love live streaming and stuff like that. If you get the headset, you're now able to play these games as well.
Yeah, but I don't know where the battleground is. I feel like instead of being a war, it's a bunch of tiny little skirmishes that are happening all over the fucking world, right? There's not just one centralized location where this is happening. I think you nailed it when you said that if they bring their PSVR headset or PSVR2 headset to PC and to make compatible out of the box, there needs to be a PlayStation Store on PC so Sony doesn't lose any profits. They can sell games like Shadow Legend and they can sell Resident Evil Village on there. And so for every game that somebody's playing on the PSVR2 headset, they're still making money. That's the only way this will work because otherwise Sony's like, well, why the fuck would we do this? We're just making it we're not making any money off of these sales, and we're making it super easy for people to use our stuff and then give us no money in return whatsoever. So they would have to have that PlayStation Store on PC to make this viable, which I think is a great idea, right? However, the big problem really lies that they'd have to change their entire business model. So you wouldn't be able to have a store on the PlayStation. I'm sorry, you wouldn't be able to have a PlayStation Store on PC and then say, but we're still not going to bring you PSVR 2 games day and date. You're going to have to wait 5 years like you did with Horizon and God of War. Otherwise, you'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like what, right? And so then that makes doesn't that kind of make the PlayStation 5 console itself less valuable just inherently?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Although I wonder if the culture is changing now, which is Xbox are much more upfront about it. Microsoft, which is we just want to get our games to where you play your games. If you want to buy a console, that's great. And if you want to play on PC, you can as well. Now, I know that Sony is taking a different approach, which is we want to sell consoles. But I kind of feel that if you're not a PC gamer, you're going to buy a console. But if you're a PC gamer and you're not buying a console, there's a reason that Sony is testing the waters with their games, even if it's a couple years after they've come out. But I agree with you. If they do the headset thing, and especially in an age of hybrid games, they can't then just hold back certain things because it's like, I just bought this headset and now you're telling me these games aren't available on this headset without the PS5.
Right.
Yeah. You're right.
Be kind of bullshit. I was sorry for laughing, but when you brought up Xbox and their strategy is to sell you games on whatever platform you want, I think sadly the reason they had to take that strategy is because they weren't winning the other strategy that they had, which was to sell you consoles. Ever since they've only won 0 of the last 4 console wars. 0 of them.
For sure. But then
right?
are we moving, you know, the console wars will eventually be an obsolete war. It is going to be just about mind share.
Yeah,
and,
but when? Like,
oh, no, I agree.
We keep saying like, oh, has to be the last console generation. We've been saying that for
I agree.
2 generations, 3 generations. PS3, we were like, this has to be the last generation. And then PS4 was like one of the most successful console generations they ever had.
I totally agree.
So we're ways off.
I agree with. No, I agree with that completely. But for me, it's the chicken or egg thing, which is it sometimes takes companies to do bold things first to help spur that transition. And, you know, Xbox haven't or Microsoft haven't disclosed, you know, how much money they're hemorrhaging with Games Pass. Like, you know,
right.
they're not making, I'm guessing they're not making a profit from that still.
They say they're profitable, but I think there's so many different ways you can read into that statement. And we don't have all of the details. I would have a hard time saying that it's profitable in any kind of sustainable way.
Agree. Yeah. So, you know, but they are playing the battle for mindshare. And I think that, you know, that they are looking at sort of the metaverse and how that's going to work as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm so 50-50. Like, I'm probably say I'm right on the line with 50-50 for this of whether PSVR2 becomes available on PC. But put it this way, as a huge PlayStation fan and a huge PSVR fan, if PSVR2 was available on PC, is that going to make me think twice about getting the PlayStation 6, for example, or, you know, to play it? No, I have a Mac computer that I use because I do video editing on here. I'd love to have a PC, but I haven't got one. I like having in my living room so I can sit on my couch and sit back and game. And those are my 2 things. And I think there's a lot of people as well. Because another component of the whole PC thing is a lot of people don't get PCs for gaming because they work desk jobs anyway. So like sitting at a desk working, and then, you know, you might say, well, then you're gaming on a console. But yeah, I'm sitting on a couch. It's slightly different. So there's all these different reasons why people would be a PC gamer and a console gamer. So I don't think they would destroy demand for PS5 by allowing it to be on PC. The thing that you're right on is regarding what it means for first-party games on release. That is where, especially if it's hybrid games, that's where it becomes tricky.
Yeah, I think there's so many ways to look at this, and I think it does start to destroy demand for PS5 a little bit. It starts to make the thing feel a little bit less special. And I think when you look at what Sony's been doing over the last year or so, especially when it comes to PSVR2, they know full well that like they don't have a company without the success of PlayStation 5. And so that's the most important thing to them. And if they can somehow leverage the PlayStation VR2 as a vehicle to get more PlayStation 5s, even if it's like a small number, even if it's like, oh, we sold an extra couple million PlayStation 5s because there's these hardcore VR gamers out there who know that the only place to play Call of the Mountain is on PlayStation 5 with PSVR 2, rather than, you know, being able to just, oh, I've already got my PC and now I can just plug this in and I'm good to go, right? They're selling another PlayStation 5. They're getting more people into the ecosystem. And I think that is probably the number one thing that Sony looks at when they make these kind of decisions. So
okay,
I think that's, for me, that's sort of where like you and I could debate this all day, but I think when Sony looks at it, that's the one thing that they're looking at, saying, how do we bring more people into our ecosystem and make them buy a PlayStation 5? Because that's where our focus is for the next 6-7 years.
Yeah, I'm sold on that now. So yes, if you want to play PSVR 2 games made by Sony, you got to have a PS5 and PSVR 2. How about this though?
Yeah.
What if, in the most basic sense, Sony goes, this is PSVR 2. Here are all the great games coming to that with PS5. However, PSVR 2 is also compatible with your PC to play all your PC VR games. Would they ever be able to do that. Like if you want to use it with your PC, you can as well. So it's kind of like, this is high resolution. It's, it's the hardware. It works on that. The games, you're going to have to come to PS5 and PSVR2. And it's kind of like a throwaway thing, one of these things that they don't make a big deal of, but it is something that PC gamers who want to upgrade their headset go, oh, I always do like it when I go around my friend's house and play on their PSVR. I wouldn't mind getting the new headset for my PC. That could be a way they cut through.
Yeah, and when it comes to that, I think you're on something because I think that really brings up two really big points, right? Is that if they allowed that to happen, first and foremost, they'd be cutting into their biggest competition at the moment, right? Most people who are playing, or a lot of people who are playing PC VR games are actually just hooking up their Quest, right? So if somebody says, oh, I can get this for just a little bit more, I can get like this really state-of-the-art cutting edge thing with like, haptics in the headset, adaptive triggers, 4K screens, like whatever, the whole thing. I could, for just a little bit more, I could get this thing that plugs into my PC VR or my PC for VR. And so you're cutting into the Quest sales because people know that it's like this pretty decent step up in terms of quality. So they're cutting into their competitor sales. But the second thing is also that if you say, yeah, it's compatible, but you do have to come to PlayStation 5, that Trojan horse is the PSVR2 headset. That Trojan horse is a Sony product into somebody's living room that maybe was never planning on buying a PlayStation 5, but they love this headset so much that they go, man, did you see the trailer for Call of the Mountain? Did you see that Village is only going to come out on PSVR 2? Did you see that? But they start seeing these all these games, and then the hybrid model strikes, and a lot of those hybrid games are only available on PlayStation 5, and it suddenly goes, well, for $400 I can get in. I already have the headset. So they basically Trojan horsed a PlayStation 5 into somebody's living room who was never planning on buying one. So that is, I think, a very, very valid point, Miles.
Xenomorph in the chat said in all capitals, they will be losing money on the hardware. Even if we're going to go with that argument, what I would say is the PlayStation 5, when it came out, how big it looks. Like, there was all these stories. I remember my friend Luke had bought it and set it up next to his TV, and he says when his wife came in the room, she just gasped at like, what the hell is that massive like monolith on the thing? But you heard about all these stories about this big white tower of like, because I remember when I set it up, I was like, geez, that's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. But and people think, why would Sony have done something that is so like, everyone's saying it's so futuristic, it's not sleek, it doesn't fit in, tucked away. It was because Sony wanted to make a statement. Sony wanted it that when you go around someone's house and it's there, it's actually a feature in the room. Yeah. And obviously VR headsets may be less so, but if they can get it in homes where people don't own a PS5, it is a part of the marketing, because it's about being a part of mainstream culture. And so, people aren't going to spend this sort of money on a headset and then have it tucked away. They're going to have people using it. Right. Because then what they might have a friend come over who tries it. And they go, I've got a PS5. I'm going to get one of these now. These are sort of the conversations that they probably have, they use customer feedback. They do surveys. They'll know sort of to what extent these conversations happen. So, and when you consider this isn't just like a new product, Sony has data on hundreds of millions of purchases of their hardware. So the margins of, percentages of user experience and customer experience with their buying habits, that has real significant weight on making decisions like this, because they're like, what is the cost going to be that, to us to allow people to use it for their PCs? Oh, it's this. But what if that's going to be a marketing cost? Okay, now we can factor that in, but who knows? Who knows, I think, is the conclusion to this conversation. Who
knows, indeed. And I agree with you. I do think
Jim
that...
Ryan.
Jim Ryan. Maybe Herman Hulst, although sometimes I wonder. It does... I think that the PlayStation 5 will eventually be as ubiquitous as the PlayStation 4. Like it's almost like you can't factor in the PlayStation VR 2 headset cost when you go, oh, a friend comes over and says, whoa, what do I need to play this? This is amazing. I've never seen this. I've seen Walkabout Mini Golf on Quest, but this is a radically different experience. This is like real life. This is amazing. This is what I thought virtual reality would be when I saw the Lawnmower Man in 1995. So like, I do think that, and as PlayStation 5s again become more easily purchased, and everybody who wants one gets one, they're just going to start being in everyone's household. So you don't even factor the PlayStation 5 into the cost. So if somebody sees a PSVR2 headset, tries it out, and they go, holy crap, and the cost really isn't going to be nearly as bad as like even PSVR 1 because guess what? There's one set of controllers that you're going to be using, right? Because some people bought the PSVR 1 headset and then they had to go out and spend another $100 on Move controllers. Then they had to go out and spend another $70 on a Name controller, right? And then shit got harder to find, so it got more expensive, right? This is going to be radically different. These are your controllers. These are the ones that come in the box. These are the ones you're using, period. And so I don't think that cost is going to be as much of an issue as people have said. Ooh,
dude,
92 likes.
Just gave me...
Woo! Sorry.
Yeah.
I just
We're getting there.
Yeah.
You just I had a flashback now of when I had my PSVR headset and I was just going to all these different stores. We have Argos over here in the UK, and it's like just searching for Move controllers. And in the end, I had to get them shipped in from overseas. Same with the aim controller, actually. Like, I just remember just driving store to store. I was just desperate. Like, there must be some Move controllers somewhere. And in the end, I had to get them online for God knows how much.
Right.
That wasn't a pleasant experience for VR, but it was so worth it when I finally had it set up. The idea that when you buy PSVR 2, you're going to have the orbs. You're going to be there and you're going to be ready to go with games made, for the PS5. Oh, it's going to be so good.
Right. We're finally going to have a VR headset that was designed for with controllers that were designed for it, where I'm playing it on a console that was designed for it, right? Everything so far has been Frankensteined. And we've been, I think we were fortunate to have games and controllers as good as we did because of the way everything was sort of shoehorned together. It was kind of a mess. And
actually on the
halfway decent, like, wow.
And with the haptics on these new controllers, there was a lot of conversation earlier in the chat about Dragon Ball Z for whatever reason, and it reminded me of
why not?
because why not? My dream VR game, especially with haptics, is a Dragon Ball Z VR game where you can turn Super Saiyan, like you can shoot Kamehameha with your hands, and like you just feel charging up and getting powerful. Like that would be amazing in VR. I would love to turn Super Saiyan in VR and just shooting lasers out your hand. I mean, look, the Iron Man game kind of had that, the sense of. And by the way, I'd never seen Iron Man before. Last weekend, because I've been catching up on Disney Plus, I finally watched Iron Man and Iron Man 2, and I'm just like, I need to jump back into that VR game because I had a blast with it. No pun intended, but yeah.
All right, listen. I just want to put my final stamp on this conversation. Then we can play some 20 questions. We can let these beautiful cats loose and let them run straight through the neighborhood. Dude, thank you so much, everybody out there, and thanks, Miles, for making people care about this stuff.
But we said 120, so keep going.
Oh, keep going. Yeah,
we're actually 106 now, so 14 left.
All right,
for the target.
So the final thing I want to say about this whole PlayStation VR on PC thing, and I want to be very, very clear about this, that I am. This is a very biased opinion, and I guarantee you that half of you out there are about to unsubscribe because this shit always causes controversy. I like exclusives. I like companies that do things exclusively for the platform. When I was one of the few people that when Microsoft bought Bethesda, I was like, sweet. That gives people a reason to own an Xbox, and a PlayStation. Right now, I don't have a reason to own an Xbox, right? But if like Starfield only comes out on Series X and Series S, I was like, well, cool. Well, that gives so many people a reason to go out and buy an Xbox and play the game that was designed specifically for that console, to take advantage of that console's pluses and avoid the minuses, right? Like it was built specifically for that platform. And I think exclusives always end up looking better and playing better and feeling better. There's exceptions, but for the most part, I think exclusives really take advantage of the platform they were built for. And so because I really just think exclusives give an identity to the console you're playing on, to keep PlayStation VR2 exclusive to PlayStation 5 just kind of like, again, tightens that identity and doesn't kind of like water it down because you're like, oh, well, I can also play this on my PC. I think there's something very special about VR, and I think keeping PSVR2 exclusive to PlayStation 5 makes the PlayStation 5 inherently more special. And so that, very biased viewpoint. And I'm a little bit of a Sony fanboy. I love PlayStation consoles, and so I think that bleeds through. But also, again, I was happy for Microsoft. I was happy for Xbox fans when Bethesda was purchased. So like I'm not a fanboy in that sense. I want every console to have something unique to offer, because during the PS3 and 360 era, there was so much overlap to the point where it's like, geez, and then when we finally started getting Uncharted games in Ni no Kuni and The Last of Us, we were finally getting things that made the system special. I was like, oh, finally. But there were years where it didn't feel like that, And so I kind of want this to be a thing. People look back at the PlayStation 5 and go, PSVR2, man, that was fucking special.
So two responses to that. Firstly, in support of this, of what you've just said, exclusive for the PlayStation 5 PSVR2 games absolutely is going to be amazing, because PS5 has the Tempest engine dedicated to sound and 3D audio. That's going to be incredible for VR, and it was definitely hinted on by Mark Cerny when he gave his Road to PS5 talk, because it's all about being present, immersion, and then the haptics as well. So these are things that are going to be really, really hit out the park with PSVR2 on the PS5. The only thing I'd say, and this does go to a slightly different conversation, but I just want to say on exclusives, I agree. I think having exclusives can be great. The only time I have a problem is when you take on, like, let's say Bethesda, and then you ring fence an IP. So, for example, Doom, one of my all-time favorite games. I loved the recent Doom 2018, was it, or 2016, and then Doom Eternal. I loved it. I'm pretty sad now that taken by Bethesda, the sense I'm getting is future Doom games now are going to be Game Pass exclusive, because I feel like I've been a supporter of Doom all this time, and I think that sucks. Starfield, I think, is a bit of a middle ground. I'd love to play it on PS5, but I'm totally cool on Xbox. So yeah, that's how I feel about exclusives, like nurturing new IPs and that. I'm all for. But
again, Doom, if you love Doom that much, go buy Series X, right?
I'm going to be getting Game Pass on the stream, the cloud, and playing it on my mobile. It won't be the same.
When is Game Pass coming to PlayStation? That's all I got to say. You can play Xbox games anywhere else. Why can't I play them on PlayStation? I think that's the next step. But that's maybe a whole conversation for another whole episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Did you say? I think you said you had two things. Was that only the
first? That was the two. So one was saying that it's going to harness the power of PS5, and secondly, the contentions I have with.
I just didn't want to cut you off and and it's time for 20 questions before you.
It's time for 20 questions, Brian.
And Miles is the host this week. That means he's got a PlayStation VR game in that beautiful little head of his, and I'm assuming it's little. I there's no sense of scale. I have no idea how big your head is. Although now that we're on the topic,
depends how close I am to the camera, but yeah.
Right. Sorry, this could have gone a very strange way. So let's stop it before it does. He's thinking of a PlayStation VR game, guys, and I have 6 minutes and 20 yes or no questions to figure out what game that is. And as you all know, I'm fucking terrible at this. I've reviewed almost every PlayStation VR game there is. I've played them all, and I always lose. So I'm going to really need your help, guys. Give me some good questions and give me suggestions as soon as they come to mind. As soon as you go, could it possibly be that game? Put it in the chat. I need your help. Miles, do you have your game at the ready?
At the ready, and I'm not going to waste as much time as I did when I last did this, which was, I think, 4 weeks ago now, because we had the 2-week break.
Oh, wow. It's been a while.
And I did too much stalling, so this time I'm going to be fair.
Yeah, don't AJ this.
Okie dokie. Okie dokie.
There's a frame right over there.
And we need 6 more people to click like. 6 more people.
Whatever. The people who are watching this after the fact, they'll show up the people who are watching it live. The people watching this after the fact, they're gonna fucking crush it. They're all gonna click the like button and show up. And they're like, fuck those live viewers. Those live viewers are so unsupportive. Look at us after the fact viewers are gonna show them what's up and click the like button.
I love people who are guessing games already.
Oh, good. Is it Baby Hands? Okay, we got to start.
By the way, why was Baby Hands on the PlayStation Store as new game?
Because it just made it to you. I think it was North America only prior to today.
Was it? Okay.
I also heard it got an update, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet. So, incoming live stream. Can't wait, guys. All right, let's do this. On your mark, go. Does this game use analog sticks?
No.
No analog. Okay.
1.
Would you call this a game rather than an experience? Is it a game?
Yeah.
In that context? Okay.
2.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there any third-person element to this game?
I don't think no, I don't think so.
Okay.
There might be like an occurrence that perhaps does. I don't think there is, but I'm just like, if there is, it's going to be like a rare occurrence. Yeah.
I'm going to go with AJ's question. Can you fly in this game? And that goes with, I mean, jetpacks, wingsuits, vehicles. Can you leave the ground in this game in any way, shape, or form?
I'm going to say yes. 4.
Okay, let's focus on the flying. Are you? Let's see. Are there vehicles in this game?
Yes.
Okay, there are vehicles.
5.
Would you call this sci-fi? Oh, look! His inner AJ is coming out.
I would say there are sci-fi elements at times. I'm giving you. Yeah, I'm not gonna be ambiguous.
No, that's good. That's good. Sci-fi at times. That's gonna be our big hint here, guys. Sci-fi at times. Is there multiplayer?
No.
No
7.
multiplayer. Yeah, I mean, if Neon Groove, I'm gonna say if he's saying it's only sci-fi at times, we can probably eliminate any space game. All space games are pretty sci-fi, I think. Would this be a game that you would find on our top 25 list or in a discussion per top? No. Okay.
No. 8.
Okay, so we're thinking it's a pretty bad game here, guys. Is there puzzle solving in this game?
Yes.
Okay.
9.
Okay. Has this come out in the last 2 years?
Yes.
Has this come out in the last year?
Yes. 11.
Okay, so it's a recent game, you guys. Okay, let's go. We got 2.5 minutes. So there's no analog support. So we're figuring moves only. It's definitely a game, not an experience. Really first person. We're thinking not really third person. There's no multiplayer. You can fly. There's vehicles. It's occasionally sci-fi. It's a bad game. This is the thing that's
the flying thing. I wouldn't focus too much on. I would say it's a rare element of it, but you can.
But it's a pretty bad game. Pretty bad game with puzzles that came out within the last year. Is this a known IP? Is this an IP that was in existence before this VR game?
When you say just in existence,
Like, were there other games in the series prior to this, or movies, or is this based on any kind of IP prior to its release?
I mean, yes,
It is based on something,
but it's not based on like popular culture. It's not based on a famous IP. It's just there are things that have existed before it. Yeah,
that's the most AJ answer I've ever heard in my life.
my bad. Well, when people say it's normally based on IP, it's like, is it based on Iron Man or stuff like that? But IP can also mean, is it based on a previous game of the same
Yeah, for sure.
IP? So that's what I mean, yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like, okay, come on, guys. It's not Wander, you guys, because Wander is really good, and he said it's a bad game.
We're on 12.
Oh my god. Is this a port of a Quest game?
No. 13.
Has this developer made other PSVR games?
No.
Jesus, why can't
14.
I think of this? It came out in the last year, Rhodey. Can you play this game on the flat screen?
I'm going to give you a clue. There is a flat version.
Okay.
15.
Are there grappling hooks in this game?
Don't think so.
Are you in a wheelchair?
No.
No, dude. I
17.
I ran out of time, and
Oh man.
and I've got nothing, man. Like, I appreciate everybody in the chat trying to help me out, but
Go on, 3 more questions. Forget the timer. Let's go with 3 more.
No, dude.
Right.
I lost, and I can't. I'm not. I feel like I'm not getting any closer to it. So if I,
That's right. Well, I think the rule should be, if you haven't got it, we just don't say what it is. So we'll just have to live with that.
oh
Okay.
god, that would be horrible, man.
That'd be really horrible, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone guessed it.
Oh no! Please don't
What?
tell me it's Puzzle Bobble 3D.
No.
Oh, thank God. What is it?
No, God, it wouldn't be. That'd be a horrible suggestion for a game.
Well, but it kind of fits a lot of the things that you've said. Okay, what is it?
I wouldn't choose a horrible game.
But you did. You told me it's not a top 25 game for sure. What is it?
It's I said it's not. I said it's not a top 25 game. Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, Dan Kiefer gave a clue. I would actually die. Can we think what that could be about?
What? Wait, what are we doing? The game's over. Why aren't you telling me what it is?
Okay, yeah, it is. All right, just don't worry about it, guys. It wasn't important anyway. We can talk about it next week. We'll do another 20 questions.
People are going to take back their likes. Come on, I'm waiting for it. Come
Wait,
on.
actually, are we at 120?
What?
Here we are. All right, okay. It
Okay.
was It was the Guy VR.
Oh my God. This is absolute insanity. Okay. No analog support, which is that true? I thought can't play
Move
DualShock.
controllers only.
Okay. It's not an experience.
This is when I find out I was wrong on something.
No, there's no multiplayer. It's not third person. You can fly. Okay, there's points in this. Okay, yep. It's occasionally sci-fi. It's 100% true. It's a bad game. Also true. It's definitely puzzle focused, and it came out in the last year. And it's based on an existing IP. 100%. I can't believe.
That's why when you were asking, is it? Can you play it flat screen? I said it had a flat screen version.
Yeah. Good. No. I absolutely 100% should have gotten this. We haven't gotten that many games in the last year, and man, I really wanted to like this one. I wanted to like this one because this has the foundation of like a really fun game, and I'm sure it's fun on the flat screen. But man,
I surprisingly enjoyed the flat screen versions, both the DLC and the original. I thought it was kind of cool, and it's a real shame to hear that the VR version
did not work out very well.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, man.
All right.
Well, listen, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us on this beautiful. And I got to be honest, I took the ex's dog out for a walk today. Me and Ziva walked around the park. I picked up dog poop in that green bag and everything. I did the whole thing. It was a beautiful fucking day, and it really is. We're going into a beautiful weekend. I'm not. You guys know me. I'm not like sunshine happy fun guy. I am like rainy, cold fall weather guy. But man, it's a beautiful day. So thank you very much for hanging out with us on this beautiful, beautiful day. Miles.
By the way, I'm being called out. Supposedly, you can only play it with a DS4. But I was looking at your review and it says moves only. So that's Brian's fault.
No, you definitely have hands in this game for sure. Moves for sure. I don't know if you can play it with the DualShock, but if is it,
Or maybe then.
maybe I screwed up. It doesn't matter. Listen, that wasn't going to be the thing.
No,
that
I
was gonna save the day, I promise you.
I can't get to sleep if we don't sort this out.
Guys, make sure you subscribe to Miles over on his channel over on youtube.com/Miles Dyer. The link for that is in the description below. Also, check him out over on Miles Dyer Official on Instagram. I'm sure you're posting all sorts of pornography over there. I haven't been, so I don't know. I haven't
actually been on Instagram in like 3 or 4 weeks. I've had a nice break from social media. So yeah, just the YouTube channel at the moment, which has been really, really fun.
Nice. And of course, guys, don't forget to join us over on Discord. We always do the multiplayer meetups every single Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. If you want to be part of that, if you want to be part of the decision making, Professor Lilith always takes care of that with not only the polls, but also organizes the entire thing. Hit us up on Discord if you want to play some PSVR multiplayer games. That is very few places that are organizing multiplayer meetups for PSVR right now. I promise you, that's the place to do it. So click the link in the description below and consider supporting us on patreon.com/withoutparolegames. If you want to get your name on that ticker down there, $3 a month plus voice chat access in Discord. $5 a month gets you some exclusive content over on Patreon, and more is coming soon, I promise. Don't forget to click the like button because Miles Dyer will kill me if I don't say that a few more times. But thank you, really, to everybody who hung out tonight, helped me during 20 questions, donated during the show, and, of course, all the people who watched the show, sat back, didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, too, because the numbers don't lie, and we love you just as much.
Honestly.
You ready to get out of
Great show. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. And on Monday, it'll be Brian with AJ. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, AJ's still around? That's awesome.
He is. He's in the chat. He's been there.
Oh, right. Thanks for the help on 20 questions. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. We love you all.
Have a good one.
So that's all I got.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
Is that the end of the show?
I mean, I don't know. Unless I would ask you to tell a joke, but we've heard your jokes. They're
yeah.
really bad.
I got a really good one. So,
oh God. What have we done?
Oh yeah, I've got. No, that's pretty messed up. I can't tell that one.
Oh. Well, see, that seems on brand. Oh, dude, you know what? I'm so glad we have this extra time with nothing to say because somehow I didn't read off the last tip. So while we're here, Nidogger, no kangaroos in Austria, not Australia. The game cat. Even though you guys can't see me, I still did the hand motion. You can't see that. With the €10, said, sitting right now in a night train, von Vienna to Krakow. Neither had we seen here, nor there any kangaroos, because maybe they live on a completely different continent. So you guys figure that one out over the weekend and let me know on Monday what it means. We love you all.
Let us know in the comments. Oh, I got a joke. It's one of my favorite jokes.
No.
It's one of my favorite jokes.
Oh, we were ending on a nice mystery.
No.
Wait, we're going to end up on a Miles Dyer like dad joke. Oh God, here we go.
It's
your jokes are really the worst.
It's a dark joke that I love. It's when I die, I want to die peacefully in my sleep like my granddad, not screaming like the passengers in his car.
I'm going to leave the longest moment of silence for the fewest laughters any sitcom has ever heard.
Tell me in the chat if you like that one.
Nobody liked that one. That joke's so old. It's so
old. My granddad's fine. He's in a better place now.